So we stopped at number 8 of the Apri Suktam of number 4 from Mandala 3. Bharati, Bharati bhi sajosha ila devair manusyaich, devaich manukshre bhi Agni Sarasvati Sarasvate bhi arvak tisro devih barahih idam sadanto. Um, Bharati. mm, right, Texit Sadantum could be also translated as may they approach, yes. So at the beginning of the stanza and at the beginning of the whole verse, and verb is at the end of the verb. You see, sadanto, sadanto, it has to go together. So, towards us, to us, unto us, Bharati. In unison may Bharati with the muses of invocation, Ila with gods and man and fire, Sarasvati with her powers of inspiration come down to us. The three goddesses sit upon this seat of sacrifice. Sri Aurobindo introduces one more verb, which is not here, may come to us, yes? Come down to us, but because they descend. So there is no verb, but it is very common for Vedic language not to have a verb, but to have only a prefix. And prefix in Vedic language is an independent word, yeah? And has its own accent, which is not the case in classical. I'm speaking to the students. So here we have it. Unto us Bharati with Bharati bhih. So with Bharati powers, Bharati, Sajosha, happy, or agreeing happily. It's a typical Vedic word which is used for all the gods, Sajosha, together with Josha, with happiness. Rujush is to rejoice. Yeah? Josha, happiness or rejoicing. Rejoicing happily, Ila and Ila goddess, Devaich Manushe Bihich, with gods and Manushye Bihich, with Manushya. Manushya is a man, the gods are. So with gods and man, Agni and Agni. Saraswati, Sarasvate Bhih, and Saraswati with Sarasvate Bhih, powers with powers of Saraswati, Arvak directly or down onto us. Tisro Devi, three goddesses, Barhir Idam Sadanto, should sit on this Barhis, on this sacred grass. We spoke about Barhis extensively. It's from root brich, to extend, to vacate, to prepare the space around the fire. That's what we have to do in our temple. We have to make order, to remove things which are not needed, to extend the space for the gods to come and to take their seat around the flame which we kindle within the heart. So may they approach us and sit around our sacrifice, three goddesses. In another hymn, Apri Suktam of the second mandala and the first mandala, several of them, we already spoke about these three goddesses. Yes? There is the whole passage, Sri Aurobindo, and not one, there are many passages which are beautifully done by Sri Aurobindo. He somehow dedicated a lot of time to Saraswati and attention, because Saraswati is this inspired word, the word which comes down as a muse. And for him, Saraswati is so important because he is a poet. He needs her stream, her muse, her intuition, inspiration, which brings down the current of the higher consciousness. So Sri Aurobindo translates it in this way. In unison, may Bharati with her muses, with her powers of invocation, Ila with gods and man and fire, Saraswati with her powers of inspiration, come down to us. The three goddesses sit upon this seat of sacrifice. I'm translating more literally. May Bharati be happy with her powers of expansion. Or may Bharati be happily agreeing with her powers of expansion, and Ila with the gods and man, and Agni also be happy and rejoicing. And Saraswati with her inspirational powers, all the three goddesses should take their seat on this barhis, on this place prepared for them to take part in the sacrifice. I have the whole passage here, which maybe we should read through. It will give us a depth of Sri Aurobindo's vision on these three goddesses. It is all his words taken from his writing. The psychological significance of Saraswati carries with it a psychological significance for the whole symbol of the Vedic waters. Now, the Vedic waters are the rain of heaven, the streams of heaven, the ocean above, the ocean below. These are the symbols of currents, currents of the higher consciousness, yes, if they are from above. They connect substantially our being to the substantiality of the higher being in us. So the rivers have a symbolic sense in a later Indian thought. As for instance, Ganges. We know the whole story of Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati, and their confluence are in the tantric imagery yogic symbols. And they are used, though in a different way, in yogic symbolism generally. You remember the story of Ganga, how she came down on the Shiva's head. Yes, nobody could receive Ganga. She was so mighty from above. So only Shiva could take her onto his head and safely drive her to earth. Otherwise, she would destroy earth. This is the power of that current. Saraswati is not only connected with other rivers, but with other goddesses who are plainly psychological symbols, and especially with Bharati and Ila. These three, Ila, Saraswati, Bharati. In the later Puranic forms of worship, Saraswati is the goddess of speech, of learning, and of poetry, and Bharati is one of her names. But in the Veda, Bharati and Saraswati are different deities. Bharati is also called Mahi, the large, great, or vast. The three Ila, Mahi, and Bharati, or Bharati and Saraswati, are associated together in the constant formula in those hymns of invocation in which the gods are called by Agni to the sacrifice. And these are Apri Suktas. Yes? Agni is invoking gods and goddesses one by one. There is an order. All Apri Suktas have the same order of invocation. May Ila Sarasvati Mahitisro Devich Mayo Bhuvach, Barhir Sidantu Asredhach. May Ila Sarasvati and Mahi, three goddesses who give birth to the bliss take their place on this sacrificial seat. They who stumble not, or come not to hurt, or do not hurt. The epithet means, I think, says Sri Aurobindo, they in whom there is no false movement with its evil consequences. Duritam, no stumbling into pitfalls or sin or error. Most probably that is the major kind of characteristic of the river or the muse or the stream. It is uninterruptedly true. It has no pitfalls, it has no gaps, it has no deviations. It is in its substance, liquid substance, flowing substance, is constantly true, uninterrupted. Yeah? That's why rivers, streams. The formula is expanded in hymn 110 in the 10th mandala. Ano yajñam bharati tiyam e tu ila manushvat iha chetayanti tisro devih barahih edam sionam sarasvati suapasah sadantu. May Bharati come speeding to our sacrifice, and Ilahi there awakening our consciousness in human wise. And Sarasvati, three goddesses, sit on this blissful seat, doing well the work of the sacrifice. There are three invoked by Agni. Three of them are needed, and we will see why three. It is clear and will become yet clearer that these three goddesses have closely connected functions akin to the inspirational power of Sarasvati. Sarasvati is the word, the inspiration, as I suggest, that comes from the rhythm, the truth consciousness, the dynamic truth consciousness. Bharati and Ila must also be different forms of the same word or knowledge. In the 8th hymn of Madhuchandas, we have a rik in which Bharati is mentioned under the name of Mahi. Eva hi asya sunrita virapshi gomati mahi pakva shakhana dashushe. Now Sri Aurobindo concentrates on Mahi. Thus Mahi for Indra, the Bharati for Indra, full of the rays, overflowing in her abundance. In her nature, a happy truth becomes as if a ripe branch for the giver of the sacrifice. The rays in the Veda are the rays of Surya, the sun. Are we to suppose that the goddess is a deity of the physical light? Or are we to translate Gomati, full of go, by cow, as it is supposed that Mahi is full of cows for the sacrifice? The psychological character of Sarasvati comes to our rescue against the last absurd supposition. But it negatives equally the naturalistic interpretation. This characterization of Mahi, Saraswati's companion in the sacrifice, the sister of the goddess of inspiration, entirely identified with her in the later mythology, in one proof among 100 others that light in the Veda is a symbol of knowledge, a spiritual illumination. Surya is the lord of the supreme sight, the vast light, Brihad Jyotih, or, as it is sometimes called, the light, the true light, Ritam Jyotih. And the connection between the words Ritam and Brihad is constant in the Veda. Sri Aurobindo speaks about Satyam, Ritam, Brihad. This is the hierarchy. Satyam is the truth of being. Ritam is the truth of becoming, and Brihat is the vastness, manifestation of both. It seems to me impossible to see in these expressions anything else than the indication of a state of illumined consciousness, the nature of which is that it is wide and large, Brihat. And Mahi is vast, yes? And Bharati is also full of the truth of being, Satyam, and of the truth of knowledge and action, Ritam. Interesting. Satyam is the truth of being. Ritam is the truth of knowledge and action. Satyam is the static truth, that which is. Ritam from root 3 is something which is becoming, which is rising, which is acting. The gods have this consciousness. Agni, for instance, is termed Rita Chit, conscious of Rita, or with consciousness of Rita. Yeah? He who has the truth consciousness. That's why he's active in accordance. Mahi is full of the rays of the Surya. She carries in her this illumination. Moreover, she is Sunrita. She is the word of a blissful truth. Sunrita is Surita. Yeah? Even as it has been said of Saraswati that she is the impeller of happy truth. Chodayitri Sunritanam. So to say, Chodayitri Sunritanam, she is compelling, pushing forward, or impeller of happy truth, literally. Finally, she is Virapshi, large, breaking out into abundance. Interesting. Virapshi is sounding like eruption, some kind of, yeah, in different directions. Breaking out into abundance, a word which recalls to us that the truth is also a largeness, Ritam Brihat. And in another hymn, she is described as Varutri Dhishana, a widely covering or embracing thought power, either thought or light, yeah? These two. Mahi then is the luminous vastness of the truth. She represents the largeness, Brihad, of the superconscient in us, containing in itself the truth written. She is, therefore, for the sacrificer like a branch covered with ripe fruits. Ela is also the word of the truth. Now we come to Ela. Her name has become identical in a later confusion with the idea of speech. As Saraswati is the awakener of the consciousness to right thinking and right state of mind, Chetanti Sumati Nam. So also Ila comes to the sacrifice, awakening the consciousness to knowledge. Chetayanti, making us conscious. She is full of energy, Suvira. Interesting, energy is kind of assigned to Ila more than to Saraswati and Mahi. She is Suvira, full of heroic energy and brings knowledge. She is also connected with Surya, the sun, as when Agni, the will, is invoked to labor by the rays of the sun, Lord of the true light, being of one mind with Ila. This is the passage. Ilaya sajosha yatamano rashmibhir suryasya. She is the mother of the race. This is interesting. She is the mother of the race. So she produces the race in the sun. The herds of the sun. Her name means she who seeks and attains, because from root id, and it contains the same association of ideas with the words ritam and rishi. Ila may therefore be the vision of the seer, which attains the truth. So if Saraswati is the word, the hearing, Shruti, so Ila is the seeing, Drishti. She is the mother of the race, the mother of the herds of the sun. She is the one who comes to the sacrifice, awakening the consciousness to knowledge with her light, with her direct connection to the very body of the sun through the rays. As Saraswati represents the truth audition, Shruti, which gives the inspired word, hearing, Shruti, so Ila represents Drishti, the truth vision. If so, since Drishti and Shruti are the two powers of the Rishi, the Kavi, the seer of the truth, we can understand the close connection of Ila and Saraswati. Bharati or Mahi is the largeness of the truth consciousness, which, dawning on man's limited mind, brings with it the two sister puissances. We can also understand how these fine and living distinctions came afterwards to be neglected as the Vedic knowledge declined and Bharati, Saraswati, Ila melted into one. So there was no more distinction between the static and dynamic truth, between Satyam and Ritam in the post-Vedic literature. So they melted into one. They don't, the differentiation between seeing, hearing, and touch, I'm adding touch, or vastness, manifestation of the space in which the rays are already manifesting the fullness and variety of all possible expressions of the truth, and by which Mahi is dawning on man's limited mind, making it vaster, widening his scope, and allowing these other deities, these other streams to come into action, the inspirational knowledge of the hearing and the revelation of Ila, vision of Ila. It is this widening of consciousness brings into action these two sisters. Sister puissances, as Sri Aurobindo says, powers. I wanted to kind of spend time with this passage because it gives us depth which we can't get by ourselves.
Vladimir, I had a question.
Yes.
The other day you were talking about the roots Drish and Pash
Yeah.
related to discrimination and seeing, vision,
And
does,
perceiving, yes.
and perceiving, sorry, discrimination and perceiving. Does this have any relation to that? Is there any connection between what we just heard and the
Well, I think so. It's more drishti, a revelation. Well, root drish is actually very powerful for me, darshana, yes, and it's discernment, which is recognition or cognition, of the being, cognition of the being, contact with the being through light. Perception is also of that kind, but it is clarifying the form of the being, or clarifying or kind of perceiving the form, let us say. So Pashi is on the lower level, as it were, on the embodied level. And for me, a Pashu as animals, as beings who have perception or have consciousness to perceive things, But it is not drishti, it's not revelation. You know? It's not discernment in that sense, in the higher sense. Of course, they are very kindred roots because you have spashtam clear, clarity, spashtikaroti, yes, he makes it clear. Spashthe in Hindi. Yeah? It's interestingly that in Hindi there are the oldest words kind of preserved, like acha, but the most popular word is
Yeah.
Vedic word. It's not found anymore in Sanskrit classical. And spashtam also. Spasht with s at the beginning. It's Vedic formation. In the post-Vedic, it's not there. In spashyati, from s disappears. Um,
Okay, thank you.
Seeing, yeah, seeing is an amazing thing. And that, interestingly, Sri Aurobindo says that Kavi or poet has two powers, yes, of drishti and shruti. He has this inspirational knowledge. He relies on Saraswati, on inspirational word to come, the muse. And also with Saraswati, Ila is activated, the drishti, the vision, the revelation. We notice this in our studies of the Veda, that when we go deeper into the word, we start getting visions. Yeah? I noticed this many times. I can even see what is kind of implied, or what is presupposed. There's a picture behind, or the vision, the light of some kind. So Ila is hiding within the word. Saraswati is activating Ila, and Bharati or Mahi activates them both. The moment we widen the scope of our perception, that's what we are doing. Why we are talking around these verses. We're trying to widen the scope, to incorporate more elements into it. And why we do this? To help us to see. Mm. So psychologically, it's totally justified, these three. We want to see. Seeing is the last. Revelation is the highest. Yeah? It is seeing which is the highest. Interesting. Yeah? The word is the connecting us to the higher revelation. After seeing is achieved, revelation is achieved, there's nothing else to achieve. Only higher revelation again. And interestingly, it is connected to Satyam, Ritam, Brihad. You know, Satyam is, we can associate with static truth. That means the body, the self, Atman, something which is the being, the truth of being, as Sri Aurobindo says. Ritam is the truth of knowledge, and that is Saraswati. And action, later Mahasaraswati, is the supramental force, yes, of the four powers of the mother which manifest the divine through knowledge and action. That's why Saraswati in India is also of both, of knowledge and action. Interestingly, from the Veda, most probably borrowed. And then Mahi, which manifests, which brings these two through the vastness, through the widening the scope, because they need more space, I guess. They cannot come to this narrow being. And she is the last, so we have Satyam Ritam Brihat. We have three levels of the supermind in the same way. We have Daksha, Amsha, and Surya. Daksha is the one thought, all unifying thought, capital T. It's a union, oneness. Interesting, this revelation. Once revelation is there, once the contact of my consciousness with the divine being is established, there's nothing more to achieve. Yeah? It's the oneness is achieved. And then Ritam, or the Uh, we have Ansha. Ansha is the part, one in many and many in one, the dynamism of manifestation of this truth in details, in sparks, in souls, in multitude relations as one in many and many in one. And finally, Surya. So we have Dakshamsha and Surya is bringing all the rays of the light, as Srivindu beautifully described here for Mahi. It is that light of Surya that she brings, and the supramental truth into the shininess of the vastness of consciousness. So these three, they somehow reflect the supramental three levels. Yeah? And if they three come, and they always come three, because even Bharati, if she comes alone, that means she's bringing, as Shrivindu says, her sisters with her always.
Can I think of Ila as some kind of a precision
It's more
of
form. It's about the self. Yeah, precision of the being. Ila is revealing being, the body of the king. But who had seen the body of the king? Nobody, yes? He was not yet here, but he is there somewhere. His body is there beyond. But we have a glimpse of it, glimpse of the being. You know, we have in Russian this proverb, better to see once than to hear 100 times. This is something of that kind, yes? When you see once, it is for sure, as it were. When you hear 100 times, you know, well, okay, right. You can say whatever, but when you see, then you know. Yeah? We trust our eyes more than we trust our ears. These are three major faculties of consciousness. By the way, it's to our faculties, yeah? Seeing, hearing, and touch. You wanted to say something else, Kinshuk. I kind of was probably cut in with my own.
no, nothing much, uh, quite unrelated. I'll probably come back later on.
Even unrelated is good, just to
Okay.
rest.
So, so, so I was thinking today, why have we stopped asking so many questions at these classes? And to my mind, something came that you can only ask questions when you know something about the answer you're going to get. And
Very
now
good.
in our studies, we have reached a point where everything that is coming to us has to either wait for a revelation and we have no questions to ask. I mean, I just felt this state within me that really speaking, if we have to ask a question, it's like forcing oneself. But at this point of time, we are waiting for Saraswati to arrive and do her work. So no more questions.
But you
It
have
is
to widen the, you have to, in your speech, in your questioning, you are widening the scope. You do not know totally. You intuitively feel, but you didn't yet express it. Yeah. So you will have to look for this expression and it will grow and grow. It's a process. Yeah. It cannot be done by silent. Once in a while it comes like, aha, I know what to say, what I want to communicate, or, but truly speaking, it's a process of slowly, gradually growing into it. Yeah? And it may not reach its climax or its goal. It may also be stuck or lost in the jungle of thought. which is in 50% or more is the case. But even then, we have to permit ourselves to do this, because we will never then come to this way of constant interest in discovery of their presence. We need to trust our own consciousness in finding it, in doing this work. Yeah? We must do it. So ask questions. There are no stupid questions. There are only stupid answers.
But that's all I had to say. Thank you.
So here's a question
Mm.
that I was thinking of. Um, from all that we read, seeing, hearing, touch, um, it means that we first see and then thought begins. Is that so? That
It
thought
is also
comes.
so. It is also, I think so. You see something and then you think, what is that? This I
Mhm,
see. Yeah? And then you
mhm,
come, the explanation, knowledge comes. Ah, this is the cup. A cup means, the word means cup, means many things. You can put water into it, drink from it, throw it. All
mhm,
activities are related to this once you know what it is. Yeah? But
mhm.
first you have to see it, then to it follows in a general way. But you may also know the cup and then create the form of it. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's what is the other. I wanted to ask you. My question was that do these two processes work within us simultaneously? I mean, we think and then we see the form. Like Mother says, that thought is a formature, it gives form. That means we see after we have thought, or thought leads to seeing something.
right.
And here we are seeing that sight is the first, revelation happens, and then we begin to start thinking. It gets expressed in word.
Yeah, in this embodied state, you're right, like physically. Yeah, physically we see something, then we think, then we touch, and so on. We continue interact. But in the higher realms, in the supramental, transcendental, in this way, what we do, we don't see immediately revelation. You know? So we rely on the word, inspired word, scriptures, master, guru. Yeah, something. We need that carrier, that current, which will bring us to that revelation. Or if we are alone, we start widening our consciousness, yeah, pacifying the mind, slowly bringing the borders faster and faster of our perception of the world. And there, this capacity of receiving the inspired word is growing. And that inspired word is bringing some kind of revelation always. Yeah, some.
Mm.
Mm, so, and you are right. It is never well. It is never together at simultaneously. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
it is always a process. Interesting, from apprehensive to comprehensive cognition, or from comprehensive to apprehensive.
Yes. Mm.
Form can be created from the idea, or idea can be drawn from the form. Always these two kind of interact, and in time they're separate. They are not together, not
In
totally
Savit,
simultaneously together.
yeah, I was in Savit. I was reading in Savitri this morning, the canto of the Greater Mind, where she
Sorry.
always.
Okay.
Battery 100%.
Amita is calling, so I will answer her quickly that I am in the class.
Oh. Battery 100%. Connected to LAGRAC.
Sorry for this.
No, it's okay.
So these are fundamentals which, can you hear me?
Yeah.
These are fundamentals which are building our IPK, Integral Paradigm of Knowledge, the faculties.
Mhm.
These are the fundamental faculties, and Sri Aurobindo speaks of them in many places, that these are two major faculties, hearing and seeing. We see the form and we understand its purpose, its function. And notice how beautifully he says that rhythm is the truth of knowledge and action. And this is exactly what comprehensive cognition gives us, yes? Understanding of what it is and how it functions, what it does to other forms, what to expect from it in interaction. You cannot see it from the form. Form in itself is as it is, yes, as the being. But to know its functionality, you need something else. Huh? You need application, you need action. We do not know, and by the way, without this application and action, we do not know the form also. We only see the form and we do not know what it means. Yeah? We see the tree and we do not know what tree is. Yeah? Unless we know that what is wood, what is leaves, what are fruits, how it grows, what it does, it brings oxygen, all that is tree, yes? But it's not visible in the form. Form does not tell us about this. There's something else tells us about this. Action, interaction tells us. Dynamic truth, truth of becoming in time and space, reveals the meaning of the form. Form has no meaning if it is only form. Yeah? And it would not appear as such in that form if it would not have meaning already there. Yeah?
So mind
I can't
creates.
hear you. Wait a minute. It's me, most probably.
Battery 100%. Connected to LAGRAC.
Yes, sorry.
So the mind creates the form, but thought,
I can't hear
which
you
is what
again. Yeah, are you muted?
no.
It's me.
Battery 100%.
Sorry
Connected
again.
to LAGRAC.
Doesn't work. Sorry for this. I can't hear you because of this. Always, if somebody calls and I have this WhatsApp on the, and so it breaks my sound, and then I can't really figure out. It's really becoming difficult.
Can you hear me?
Battery 100%. Connected to LAGRAC.
Now I will hear you. Sorry. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Sorry for this.
Okay, no, it's okay. I was wondering whether I'm supposed to ask this question.
Any question, any answer is good from
Okay.
any side. We are widening the scope. We are trying to understand things. So please don't hesitate. Oh, maybe this question is out of
Okay.
place, of to sing. Nothing is out of place.
No, nothing is. So what I was asking is that in the greater mind, Sri Aurobindo says that thought is mediator divinity. It is the divine, it's got this power of connecting the lower hemisphere with the higher. So my question, therefore, is that he is exemplifying the power of thought in this canto. It is, the light. So then seeing happens after that. revelation comes later. First, he's talking, I think, about the illumined mind and therefore the thought, the ideal mind in the canto. So he's explaining about the power of thought as a radiant ray, which touches the earth and helps us to ascend.
Right. If you think closer, what is thought? Yeah, thought itself, or it is an action of the mind, yes, which is focusing in a particular way on the object of sense or on the subject of sense or the ideal or the sound or the word or the meaning on whatever. And the focusing of consciousness in particular way is actually the active vision. Yeah? Active vision is always perceptive. Yes, we perceive when we see, we stop activities, we become perceptive, passive, we receive. Now, thought process is just the opposite, yeah, but with the light. We imagine, yeah, let us say, on the lower level. Imagine means we are building up the form with power of consciousness, with the power of concentrating consciousness in a particular way, which will give us that form. So this power of concentrating, focusing consciousness is actually generating light. That's why Daksha is the highest, yeah, all unifying thought, because it generates the light, yeah,
I see.
and projects it into, it activates its movement. Whereas seeing is perceiving that movement.
Thank you. That makes it very clear.
Yeah, because in our IPK we deal with this, that there is active and perceptive two counterparts of the same faculty. So the same faculty of seeing has an active counterpart of thinking. And if we read in Savitri, you will find it constantly kind of highlighted that mind has something to do with sight and seeing.
Yes.
And the word with the hearing. Yeah? So
Yes.
if the hearing is perceptive and passive, when we want to hear, we become very attentive. We remove our activities of vibration. We become still, as it were, to receive the sound and to receive the meaning. Then when we speak, it's just the active part of the hearing. We vibrate, yeah, and communicate our self-expression to others. So
Thank
these
you.
two, seeing and hearing, seeing and thinking and speaking and hearing are actually active and passive, perceptive parts of seeing and hearing, drishti and shruti. Yeah? When we speak about drishti, we mean both active and passive. Yeah? We don't mean only passive.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Right. Yeah, please,
Yeah.
Jane.
Yeah, you mentioned, and I've never heard this before, IPK. Is that a Vladimir term or is that an actual term?
Oh, it is an integral paradigm of knowledge. It's just abbreviation, not to say a
Okay.
long word.
Okay.
We
Integral.
develop this kind of idea that we may develop ourselves integrally if we develop all the faculties in proper relations and understand their functionality and become conscious of their functionality, then we will be able to function better as human beings. Yes, that's the point.
Thank you.
Vladimir, I wanted to mention that I think Satyam, Ritam, and Briyat are very aligned with Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Yes, so this trinity is unavoidable in a way. Okay. Right. Or the Holy Spirit is the mother, because mother is not mentioned there. Yeah, there is
Right.
only Holy Mary, but truly speaking, it is the mother, Holy Spirit. And,
The
if you look,
Shakti.
yes, Shakti, and also, as Krishna says in the Gita, that this Brahman is the spirit, yeah, that which envelopes, holds everything together, above and below, all together and beyond. That is his Samam Brahma, is his yoni, into which he casts the seed and from which all things come into being. So he says that he is the father, the spirit is the mother, yeah, which carries, as yoni, carries all the universe. Yeah? And that is the Holy Spirit. And it is the name, Samam Brahma, same spirit all over, holds everything. And in Indian tradition, we speak about Prakriti, and there are two Prakritis, Para and Apara. There is a transcendental Prakriti, of the Satchitananda, of the pure divinity in his being, consciousness, and bliss. And there is Apara, lower Prakriti, which holds our being in time and space. And this Prakriti is also one. And this is the mother. In the Vedas, we speak about three of them, Aditi, Diti, and Prishni. And these are just locations of the same one Divine Mother. Why the Divine Mother is so important for integral yoga is because, as Sri Aurobindo says, when the mother is found, everything is found. Because through the mother, you have a connection from this Prakriti to that Prakriti, Para. You have a smooth transition. Otherwise, you don't have it. You don't have the bridge between this world and that transcendental world without the mother, without realization of the mother. That's why he is totally into the mother. And she is the mother of our soul, of our psychic being. It is through psychic being that mother acts. Yes, it is that bridge to the transcendental is psychic being. So everything comes together through the mother. Or Brahman, in the post-Vedic, especially post-Vedic, Brahman becomes that spirit which holds everything. As Chandogya would say, if you realize Brahman as all space of universe outside, you realize Brahman. But if you realize Brahman as all spirit outside, which is identical with all spirit inside, space inside, then you know even better Brahman. But when you realize that spirit outside and and space inside and space within the heart is the same Brahman, then you know Brahman. So you can see that Brahman connects transcendental in this world and beyond, yes, into oneness, and that is the Mother, the Holy Spirit. Yeah, very good observation. I always wanted to say that there is the Mother in Christianity, only it is called the Holy Spirit. I do not know why they avoided the Mother. Most probably there is a reason, cultural reason, or maybe they wanted to hide her away because it was difficult culturally, to refer to that. Yeah, Holy Mary is different. Yeah, it's kind of unique case. But otherwise, all the women, it's, then the civilization would collapse if the women become holy suddenly. Of that time, I mean, of that time.
Mhm.
Vladimir, I have a question, please.
Yes, please.
It says that as the Vedic knowledge declined, Bharati, Saraswati, and Ela melted into one. Why did these great powers melt into one when they are so distinct?
They are distinct in the supramental sense. When the supermind disappeared in the post-Vedic literature, and it disappeared, the sun became one of the deities and even malefic graha, yeah, instead of being benefic. So supermind disappeared for one reason, for the domination of Advaita. That's how Sri Aurobindo explains, yes? When Advaita started to dominate, what happened is that the whole transformation of nature and being became impossible. So there was a split. Half went to the West and became Semitic tradition, which focused on the power and manifestation, on the alchemy or science, and became materialism. And the other half became Advaita in India, which focused only on the spirit. That Brahman first, and then Brahman became only transcendental. And this nature, lower nature, became an obstacle, a maya, an illusion, which takes us away from realization of the spirit. So the idea of transformation of nature became impossible. Yes. So with time, supermind disappears altogether. That's why it's such a great discovery of Sri Aurobindo, and he brings us back to the Veda with this, yeah, because the Veda and supermind is a sacrifice, is a constant interaction with this force from the supermind and this nature. The whole idea of sacrifice disappears. Yes, it is only a request to some deity, a small god, to give you something. That's it. That's the bargain, nothing else. But once supermind disappears, overmind disappears with it. Overmind is the first range of the intuition and all those realms of the, and they become the realms of Maya, which have to be passed or crossed over. You have to jump from your mind to the transcendental Satchitananda and dissolve yourself. So these two realms disappear. And once they disappear, these distinctions of three rivers who come for the transformation of the being from the supermind are not really important anymore. They are becoming rather something cultural, or different names of the same deity.
Thank you.
And all other gods the same. Indra became very small god of the vital plane. Indra is a great godhead of the intuition and overmind. But here in the post-Vedic, he becomes a very small, always beaten by asuras and removed from his throne, and somehow secondary deity. The same with the sun. Sun became also kind of small deity, malefic, only bringing heat and nothing else. Nobody likes the sun anymore. Of course, there is Surya Namaskar. There is something left over from the Vedic tradition, but it is not really meaningful. Yeah, it's something else. In the Veda, sun is everything. Yeah, the sun, Surya, Savitri, is all we have to achieve and realize. It is the entry to the transcendental. Only through the sun we come to the transcendental. It is the power which brings all the transformation for our nature. It is that what we have to bring down. We are calling to the gods in the Veda, these powers of the sun to come down. Varuna, Mitra, Yaman, Bhaga, Dakshamsha, Surya. These are the Adityas which we always invoke. Agni invokes them. The flame within our heart brings them down into action. This all is totally erased. Yes, there's nobody coming down. The whole idea of coming down is also diminished and disappeared. It's only rising of Kundalini left, yeah, from below up, but not coming down, not invocation and descent from above. Sri Aurobindo reactivates it, brings it back. Mahakundalini with all the Shakti, with all the powers, her Adityas. Adityas are her powers. It is that Aditi Shakti, yeah, who brings the power of consciousness, or power of bliss, or power of knowledge, and so on. It is she. And they are named in the Veda as Godheads. Whenever we say Varuna, we mean Aditi in the function of purity and vastness. Yeah? When we say Mitra, we mean luminosity of Aditi in her consciousness and harmony. This is what we mean. So it's very close to the integral yoga in its kind of layout, framework. All right, we can stop here. One verse. One verse is also not bad. At least one. But please think, talk, try to develop your thinking. Also, you can exchange your thoughts on WhatsApp. It's always good. This is the way to go. If you don't do this work, if you only come to the session and then we forget about it, well, it's even then it is good. It leaves the seed somewhere, which one day is, oh, suddenly everything becomes clear. And it must be like the stream, uninterrupted. If we can create uninterrupted stream, it grows in power, you could feel. It grows to the extent that you can't bear it. You have to stop it because it's too powerful. And then the system cannot take it in. So you have to do something else, something stupid, forget about it, disconnect from it, become again a separate being, and then come back to it again. That's what you do. All right, I close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Anyhow.